What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be going over the brand new rules that are going to be implemented in the 2020 season for boys water polo. So there are a lot of slight changes to the rules that may not seem like they're important, but a lot of things that we used to do are going to now be turnovers or will no longer be effective. So let's start going over some of them. So the first thing we're going to go over here is the idea of putting the ball into play. Now beforehand, all you had to do was spin the ball or make a water polo move, and the ball would be live and you could then move forward with it. However, in the new rules, you're going to have to put the ball into play by tossing it up in the air and catching it again. So right now we're going to go over a bunch of different moves that you used to be able to do that are now considered a turnover. So as you can see, picking the ball up and attempting to move forward with the ball without doing what we'll call popping the ball up or putting it in play will result in a turnover. If you pick up the ball and try to swim with it, if you pick up the ball and wave it around, or if you pick up the ball and make a upward motion as if you're going to shoot and then sink again, all of these are considered turnovers. You can no longer do that unless you take the ball, pop it up in the air a couple inches, and then catch it again. Now in these next few clips, you're going to see what it means to correctly put the ball into play. I want you guys to take notice of the cone that is right outside of 5 meters. This is there to represent the 6 meter line, which for all intents and purposes is the new 5 meter line. If you are fouled outside of 6 meters, you can now either take a direct shot from there, or if you put the ball into play and get live, you can now either shoot or pass completely legally. It's important to note, however, that if you get the foul outside 6 meters, you can still pass as long as it is an immediate motion. You cannot fake or move, but if you can pick it up and pass it, that is still 100% legal, whether inside or outside. So as you'll see in this next clip, there's an important point to remember when looking for a foul outside of 6 meters. If you get fouled and the ball moves inside of 6 meters, you cannot take the ball outside of 6 meters and then attempt to shoot, unless the referee specifically moves you back. Otherwise, it is considered a turnover. So in these next few clips, we're going to go over what it's like as a defender and how soon you can repress after the player gets live. So once the player catches the ball, he is 100% live. So after he throws it up and then catches it again, you can repress no matter what. That player is live and you can press him and steal the ball. However, what we don't know is if you can attack the player before the ball lands back in his hand. So we're going to give you two scenarios here, one in which that is considered a turnover, a steal, and the other one which is considered an exclusion. We're going to show you both, and then we will let you guys know at a later date, once we really figure out talking to referees, which one is actually correct. However, just know that now, once you get live, players can instantly press you again. And that means that you need to be ready for it and can't just expect the defense to play off of you. So on this next possession, you'll see what good defense looks like. This is typically how soon you can repress after a player gets live. The second they catch the ball, repress. Give them space to make sure they don't shoot over you, but then after that, quickly repress and knock them down again. So an important thing to note is that as a defender, once you get a foul, if you then try to swipe at the ball or knock the ball inside of 6 meters to prevent a shot, that is now going to be called an exclusion and is written that way in the rules. So there's no little ifs or maybes. It's if you knock the ball inside of 6 meters after a foul, you are going to be ejected. So make sure that if you go for that steal and you get a foul, don't continue and swipe the ball away. Pull your hands up, be smart about it. So here in this next clip, we want to show you that as an offensive player, if a defender is pressing hard and is trying to knock you down right after you get the foul and you get live again, use this as an opportunity to turn players, because you can take advantage and you are live. As long as you pop the ball up and catch it, you are now live. And if you're outside of 6 meters, you can then even take that in and go for the shot. So make sure that if a player comes at you, you keep control of the ball and can make an inside or outside turn to get inside on them. Now another big new addition to the rules this year is when you get the ball on the 2-meter line on a corner throw, you can now pick that ball up and shoot it as a direct shot. As long as you don't pump fake it, you can pick it up and shoot it as a direct shot straight at the cage. So if the defender's dropping and the goalie's looking away, pick up the ball right away and shoot that. However, there may be another option too, and this is the way it was in club. We don't know yet if it'll be implemented the same way in high school, but we're showing it to you anyways, so just in case you can, if it is legal, you guys can know how to do it. If you're at the 2-meter line and you pop the ball up and get live, you can then attack the cage, and you're live to shoot it, just like you would as if you pop the ball up outside of 6 meters. And in this next clip, you're going to see exactly what I was just saying. When you get the ball live, you can attack in and you're allowed to shoot. So the last part of this video is going to be dedicated to driving. So one of the new changes this year to high school is the increase in the number of penalties that we'll see. This is because if you are between 5 meters in the cage and you have a defender on your back and you have the ball in front of you, they will call that a penalty more often than not. Very rarely now is that going to be called an exclusion. For the most part, that's going to be a penalty as long as you are attacking the cage and moving forward. So, it's really important now to cut off your defender, move towards the cage, because it also doesn't matter if you're holding the ball. One of the rules, if you guys remember, was if you were holding the ball in your hand and they hit you from behind, that was still legal as a defender. Now it is not. It doesn't matter if you're holding the ball, if you let go of the ball, every single thing that a defender does over the back is considered a penalty shot.
There you go.
In these next 2 clips, we're going to go over what good defense looks like, starting with a counter rotation after the start of the drive, and not stopping behind, but continuing to get in front of the offensive player. Make sure you don't stop on their back, but you take the extra stroke, swim around, and get between them and the cage, putting a hand up to block the ball if possible.
Yep.
This next clip might be a gray area during the season. Some referees might call this an ejection, and some referees might call it a penalty, and some referees might just let it go. So, as you'll see, the defender gets beat but continues swimming and tries to get a hand in front of the offensive player. He does put a slight hand on the back and the shoulder, which is why this can be considered, some sort of foul. But if he doesn't put a hand on his back and can try to attempt to get his hand around in front and knock the ball away from the front of the cage, that should be considered a good defensive play rather than an ejection or a penalty. A rule that still stands, though, is that if you're a defender and you get beat, you can't grab the offensive player and attempt to pull him back or stop him from swimming. That will still be considered an ejection and may even be considered a penalty depending on the referee. So the last clip here is dealing with an offensive player who attempts to fake being held. This will be called an offensive foul, and referees are going to be looking for this, especially with the new penalty calls. If a defender has their hands up and are playing good defense without leaning on the offensive player or attempting to hold him, and the offensive player still attempts to fake, splash his arms, pretend like he's being held, that will be a turnover, as you'll see in this clip.
Ready, go.
So that's about it for the new high school rules. They are essentially the same as what club implemented last year. So this is another good reason to be playing club in the off season if possible. We believe that water polo in high school is going to follow the rules that are implemented in club, and eventually so will college. So thank you for watching.